Yes guys, it's your boy Cruxlot, and this video is slightly late, but I've been just trying to like get into Battlefield just to kind of like see the ins and outs of it and what I personally think. And these are my first impressions, so hopefully you guys enjoy the video. And as always, if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel because you don't want to miss out on this awesome content. But without further ado, we're going to jump straight into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Bye guys. Okay guys, so now we're going to go over the operators, the specialists in Battlefield 2042. So we're starting off with Sundance. Sundance is a very versatile, very good specialist as of right now. She is technically an assault class, which is used for attacking, flanking and destroying things, and her equipment that she gets is a grenade belt. So essentially, this grenade belt is built up of 3 different grenades. The first grenade is a scatter bomb. It's essentially a grenade that explodes into multiple little grenades. This is very good at clearing out rooms of enemies, multiple enemies clustered together. It's a very useful ability, one of the better ones in the game. Then her second grenade, it's like a lock-on grenade for vehicles. So if you see a vehicle that is damaged already, because these don't do a great deal of damage, but they do just enough damage, especially against already vulnerable vehicles that have taken some damage, you throw these grenades at helicopters, low-flying helicopters, vehicles that drive past you that are obviously smoking or look like they've taken a bit of a battering already, and you throw these grenades and they like fly in the sky and then lock on and go straight to the target, inflicting damage. So those are very good, especially if you combine it with either the essentially the RPG, the M5 recoilless M5 rocket launcher, or the AA anti-air missile launcher. So those are obviously, it kind of works well, synergizes well with her character. And then her passive ability is she has a wingsuit, which is actually very useful. It's more than just jumping off of a high place and gliding. You can do it off not so high places, so you can actually glide and get some distance quite easily with the wingsuit. So it allows you to traverse the maps, which are very large, quite easily. So yeah, I'd say that she's definitely a top tier specialist on this game, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from her. Then we move on to Dozer. Now, in the beginning of the game, the ballistic shield which he has, which is essentially a riot shield, was like getting a rework because it was like too OP or not doing its job properly. And from what I find is it's quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Inconsistent. It sometimes deflects all manner of bullets. It's supposed to only deflect small arms fire, but I have noticed it deflects bullets from LMGs and from high damage and high powered marksman rifles. So he's very good at pushing up to objectives and moving from one position to another position with the safety of the shield. Obviously his legs can be exposed if he's running. If he's crouching, then not so much, but he's not moving as fast. But he seems to be a decent specialist right now. His passive is blast resistance, which allows him to have reduced explosive damage. Again, with explosives being quite prominent in Battlefield 2042, I would say that is a reasonably good passive ability. I don't think he's top tier, but I definitely think he's pretty good, and he's a solid start because he's obviously unlocked at the very beginning of the game, as are most of these specialists right now. He's decent, and you make of him what you will, you know? So like, maybe he suits your playstyle, maybe he doesn't, and that's something that you'll have to find out for yourself. Then we move on to McKay, who you unlock him at level 15, and McKay is probably one of my top 3 best specialists in the game right now. He's a lot of fun, and the grappling hook is so good. It says allows unrivaled mobility, and they're not wrong when they say that, because there's some maps where there's like rocks to climb up on, like hills. Now think of Warzone, how difficult it is to climb over rocks and stuff. McKay can just grapple up past all of them, get up to the high ground nice and quickly, allowing for flanking maneuvers, allowing for just putting pressure on the enemy when they're not expecting it. There's other maps where there's one, I completely forgot what it's called, but it's essentially just like a shipping containment yard. That is the best map for McKay. He can just take advantage of all those high spots, get on the high ground every time. Especially my particular pairing with McKay is attaching him with a insertion beacon, which is pretty much a mobile respawn beacon, allowing you just to spawn back there once you've died. And again, it's just like regaining the high ground over and over again. Makes him such a good specialist to use, and he's just a lot of fun because if you're using a sniper or a marksman rifle, he's just so good. Honestly, it's the best pairing. We've actually got, and this is another thing I'll mention. In fact, I'll mention it at the end about the medals and progression, I guess, with each specialist. His passive ability is nimble, move faster when aiming, and whilst on zip lines, which again is not particularly noticeable, but it's decent all the same. It's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's top tier, but I don't think anybody's passive is particularly top tier. I do think he's a very good all-round specialist, and he's definitely a lot of fun. Then we move on to Irish. Now, Irish, again, for me, is a top tier specialist. He's an engineer, so he's mainly for defending, fortifying, and improvising. And I think it's the versatility with his fortification system, which is his equipment, which makes him such a good pick. So essentially he has two options. Option number one is putting down essentially, which is like a deployable cover. Again, you can find these things on Warzone, and these are very good. And the differences between this and Warzone and also Rainbow Six Siege is that you can actually see through them. They're like partially glass, bulletproof glass, so you can actually see through them and use them as very, very good cover. They're very strong as well. They take a lot to destroy, which makes him just be able to like set up two walls in like a diamond, kind of like a partial triangle formation, or both on next to each other like that. And they're just very strong, allowing you to hold positions that you would not normally be able to hold. Like I said, they take an unbelievable amount of damage to destroy, and he gets them back reasonably quick as well. So he's just so good for defending positions, for like pushing and holding other positions. And the fortification system, like I said, it's made up of two parts. The second part is essentially a trophy system, again from Warzone, and it's very, very good, very versatile, especially for holding objectives where you're just getting grenades thrown left, right, and center, just spammed on top of the objective. These just shoot them out of the sky. Very, very useful. I would consider that one of the best things about Irish. Just his fortification system in general is fantastic. Like I said, you can have one shield barrier in front of you and one trophy system behind you, which will just destroy everything. Any incoming grenades. It also works on missiles in small amounts from helicopters and jets. So it's very, very good. That's definitely a top tier piece of equipment for an operator. I really like that. And his passive is veteran, so he gains additional armor. So people who Angel, who gives armor, or Angel, however you want to pronounce it, he will receive more armor from that. And like it said, he recovers more armor as well. So he starts off with a little bit more armor, and when he's given armor, he gets more than other people. So that's just a nice little touch. Not particularly OP in any way. It's just standard. It's all right. It gets the job done. Then you move on to Boris. Now, Boris is a very popular specialist because of his sentry guns, and I'll explain why the sentry guns are actually really good. And it's not so much they're overpowered, it's just what they bring to the team, which is something that is lacking on some other characters like McKay's. Unless you make him about putting the respawn beacon down, he's quite a selfish pick, whereas Boris brings a lot to the team. His equipment is a sentry gun, the SG-36 sentry gun, which engages nearby hostiles. Now, this has a reasonable range. You put them down, they can be repaired with the repair tool, and it also blends in with his passive as well, which, well, his passive is when you are stood near the sentry gun, it does more damage and it's more effective. So obviously you're going to be stood near your sentry guns anyway, but they spot enemies, which is so crucial. They spot enemies, which means if somebody kills them, then you get an assist, which means more XP, more points, And also when it spots them, it's not just like the generic battlefield spot where it puts the little marker above their head. It literally outlines them all in red. So it's very good, and it's very easy to see enemies that have been marked by the sentry guns. And I definitely would say he's very good, especially for defending objectives. He's a very strong operator specialist. I don't think he's top tier, but I think he's above mid tier, that's for certain. Then you have Casper. Now Casper is what you make of him, similar to Dozer, although I do think he's more team orientated than Dozer anyway. So he's a recon, so typically a sniper or a long range fighter. His piece of equipment is an OVP recon drone. Now this is quite actually a versatile piece of equipment. So it says scout ahead without risk. Now essentially what it does is you pull out like a laptop, and then you activate it, the drone appears. Now you can get in and out of the drone at any time. Something that is very, very useful about the drone is it can be attached with C5, which is an explosive device. So you can you can spawn the drone, get out of the drone, right back to your character, put 3 pieces of C5 on the drone, and then use the drone to fly pretty far. It has a good range on it, and you can literally fly it into tanks, right next to the tank. Now the only thing is you cannot detonate it from inside of the drone. You have to physically come out of the drone, which sometimes can lead to mistiming of the detonation of the explosion, and sometimes can obviously not get you the kill and the destruction of the vehicle. But you can literally fly it right up to a tank, especially if it's camped on a hill or like a mound or somewhere kind of out of the action, just shooting down on people. Fly right next to it, get out of it, pull a C5 out, boom, blows it away. That's potentially 2 or 3 kills. It's a very effective way of dealing with vehicles, and they're also pretty hard to shoot down as well, which means I've tried shooting them down. Honestly, they are difficult to like pull that off successfully. So again, he's a very good solid specialist, and his passive ability, probably one of the better ones in the game. It's a movement sensor, sorry. So it says the sensor suit alerts you to nearby threats. So essentially it's at the bottom of your screen, and it's like a pulse. Now normally when there's no enemies nearby, the pulse is blue. Now when an enemy comes into your radius, the pulse will go red. Now this is why I like to play Casper as almost like an assault rifle submachine gun type of guy, because when you're in that position and you've got your submachine gun out, it's actually really useful for navigating your way through buildings, knowing where enemies are, being able to like take advantage of that, and obviously kill enemies that you would not normally have known were there. So he's very good. I definitely would say he's not maybe necessarily a top tier, but he's definitely above mid tier. And again, with the recon drone, it can spot people as well, and it can spot people quite effectively, vehicles, gets you a lot of assists and stuff, and just obviously helps your team out. So it's good for your team to pick somebody like Casper. Then you move on to Clau. Now he's also a recon specialist, and I actually used him quite a lot at first, thinking he would be better than he was. His piece of equipment is the cyber warfare suit, which disables enemy hardware. Now this again sounds a lot better than it actually is. It is useful. I do think he could do with a buff though, because currently I think he's one of the worst specialists in the game, but potentially could be very useful. So when it says disables enemy hardware, you like have like this, as you can see on the picture, he has like this gauntlet on, which has a screen on it, and that's how you hack tanks. When you hack a tank, it lets the tank know that they're being hacked, and sometimes they panic and just bolt. So obviously it's not as effective as you want it to be, but if you do successfully hack a vehicle, a helicopter, or a tank, or anything like that, a hovercraft, it just means that they won't be able to fire any of the weapons, allowing you or other people to take advantage of that and shoot rockets and stuff at them. They won't be able to deploy any like defenses either, like smoke or jammers or anything like that. And you can also hack troopers, and like I said, when you can also hack enemy hardware, that includes like bridges and bollards and map related things, that kind of like is area denial and stuff like that. So that is pretty useful, but you can also do that by pressing a button somewhere near the actual item like bollards. There'll be a button somewhere to activate that. So again, it's not like he's the only person that can do that, because that would bring more value to him as a specialist, but he's pretty good. And you can also hack troopers as well, like enemy soldiers, and once you kill an enemy soldier who has been hacked, then you will, on your minimap, it will appear and show you other enemies in the area. But that's his passive ability. So I do think he has potential. I just don't think he's strong enough right now really to justify a pick over other specialists. So we'll move on to Pike now. So Pike you unlock at level 25, I believe. She essentially has a scanner similar to Bloodhound off of Apex Legends. It's kind of like a wall hack kind of thing, but it has a very small radius. So she's only good in like close quarter engagements, and something that is good though, when she does take damage, this is her passive ability, they become spotted. So again, she's actually pretty good. She's not the best by any means, and she's quite situational, but she is actually pretty good. She's again a recon specialist. The scanner is pretty good. In practice, it's not as good as you want it to be though, so and it has quite a long cooldown. So I definitely wouldn't. I'd say she's mid tier, probably on the lower end. I don't know that her passive ability is very good, especially for like snipers and stuff. If she takes damage, then the enemies are spotted, which is obviously good for assists, good for your team, good for you to know where enemies are. So yeah, I'd definitely say she's probably mid tier. She's not particularly weak. She's very good. We move on to Falk, who is a support. A specialist. She's essentially the medic of the whole gang. She has a Surret pistol, which pretty much is like Doc off of Rainbow Six Siege, where you can heal people at range. Although it's not as good as you want it to be, because you have to be very accurate, and it only restores a small amount of health, which isn't really as good as you want it to be. Like I said, she can also heal herself with the pistol, which is pretty good. But again, it takes a while and it has a lengthy animation, so it's just she's not as good as you'd like her to be. Although she can revive any ally at full health, which is a good trade-off, I guess. But I would just wish she was a little bit better. That Surret pistol was a little bit better. I think it would definitely benefit her more as a specialist, and I'd say that she's probably one of the lower tier ones now. And finally, we move on to Angel, or Angel, however you want to say his name. He's a support character, support specialist, and he's actually pretty good. So his piece of equipment is a loadout crate, which resupplies ammo and armor to nearby teammates. So he is pretty good. Resupplying ammo and armor, it's in like a little package where you throw it and they have to run over it. It's like a physical thing on the floor. They run over it and they'll instantly pick it up and it'll be applied. And it only gives a small amount each time. And you start off with 3 in your inventory and they'll like regenerate over time. So it's pretty decent. Alternatively, you can call down a load-in. So it's pretty much like a loadout drop off of Warzone. Apart from, it doesn't let you change your specialist, it only lets you change your loadouts. And when I say loadouts, I mean these things right here. Boom, 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 boom. So pretty cool. And also when you get a new loadout, or even the same loadout, it'll refill all your equipment, all your ammo again. So he's pretty good. And his passive is Trauma Specialist, which means when you revive any ally, they gain armor. So it's pretty good. They get a little bit of armor. So he's again pretty good. I'd say he's probably middle of the pack. Definitely not one of the better ones. He's pretty good though. If only the loadout, when you throw the little like resupplements, if only that give you a little bit more bang for the buck, then I think he'd definitely be up there a little bit further. But for me, the best specialists in the game right now are Irish, McKay, and Sundance, in my opinion. Right, so we're going to go on to loadouts. Now, this is something you may not know. We're just going to quickly breeze over it. You can actually add more loadouts. You start off with like 4, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sniper, medic, engineer, and assault. We can actually add more at the bottom. At the bottom of your screen, where mine says loadout options, loadout limit reached, it should say create a new loadout. And then you can have a new loadout for any character that you want, which again is pretty useful. I'm also going to talk about gear for a hot sec. The proximity sensors are very, very good in the game so far. You can just get a ton of assists, a ton of spots as well, which are really awesome. I really like those. Definitely better than the EMP grenade. Well, to be fair, the EMP grenade is good for vehicles and stuff. So especially if you're playing with a squad, then they can be very important. But these are good for like solo, just for letting your teammates know where people are, getting you loads of points, getting assists and stuff. Smoke grenades obviously good for flanking and good for breaking line of sight, and frag grenades do what they say on the tin, blow up enemies, which are actually pretty strong, to be honest. Haven't unlocked the incendiary grenades yet, so I can't really comment on those. And for gadgets, the recoilless M5 is pretty good. It does take 3 missiles to kill a armored vehicle, but they are pretty decent, especially if you have an armor crate, which allows you to regenerate ammo. The repair tool, decent for, obviously, if you're working with your team, repairing vehicles and sentry turrets and stuff. C5 takes two to blow up a vehicle. 2 or 3. I believe it's 2, but 3 depend in like certain situations. The insertion beacon, again, this is what I use with McKay, is very strong, allowing you just to take powerful positions against your enemies, especially with depending on what gun you use, obviously. And I haven't unlocked the anti-tank mine, nor have I unlocked the surflam yet. For weapons, there are 22 weapons in the game, which is slightly disappointing. It's not as many as some of us thought they would be. But for now, it's acceptable. It just depends on if they rest on the laurels or whether they are implementing more guns quite quickly. Especially when the new battle pass comes out, I want to be unlocking new guns, new specialists, new maps and stuff. Not necessarily through the battle pass, but those are the kind of things that I want to see. Within the next month, I am expecting a couple of new guns and maybe a new map and a new specialist and stuff like that. When the battle pass fully comes out. But off the top, some of the best weapons that I've noticed in the secondary, the last one you unlock is the M44 revolver. Now this is very good. It's a one-shot headshot, I believe, from testing. I think it is. Body shots again. It's 2 body shots, but especially if you've already injured your opponent, then they're going to be doing a lot of damage. Alternatively, the MP28 is pretty decent too. It's essentially the G57, but just shoots a bit faster. It doesn't have a higher magazine size, but the rate of fire, and you can put like barrels and stuff on it. But the pistol itself is decent. I've got like 50 kills with a pistol, so it's not terrible. For SMGs, I've only unlocked the first 2, but the PP29 is very strong. You guys probably already know that. I haven't used it a bunch just because of how OP it was. I've been mainly sticking to the marksman rifles, but yeah, it's been very, very good, and it's pretty good at range as well. When the game first dropped, the M5 was pretty useless. The recoil pattern on it and the spread of bullets was pretty poor, but it has been patched in recent days, and it's actually pretty good now. I'd definitely say it's very usable right now. The SCAR or the SFAR MGL is pretty good, but that under barrel grenade launcher is permanently attached there, which means obviously you can't use under barrel grips and stuff, which obviously isn't ideal. But it's a pretty good gun. It does a lot of damage. I've been using the LCMG, which is pretty good. Again, haven't really used the PPBP yet. I've just unlocked that recently, but I haven't actually used it. But I bet they're both pretty good. The LCMG is pretty good. Then we go on to marksman rifles. The DM7 is pretty decent. It's a 3-shot kill. This is what I was using quite a lot at first until I unlocked the SVK, but it is pretty good. Especially when you're starting off. Then we move on to what, in my opinion, is the best gun in the game, the SVK marksman rifle. We have, let's see how many kills we've got with this gun now. We'll check afterwards, but I think I've got something like 400 kills with it, which tells you that it's obviously a pretty good weapon. It does a lot of damage. It's a 2-shot kill at any range. It's not a 1-shot headshot, but obviously it's still very, very good. We've unlocked all attachments for it as well, and so you can get into close quarters. I use the sight that's on the screen right now, which is a 3x with a red dot 1.5 times on top. So that is very useful for when you're closer. and then it can also have a 6 times, an 8 times, and a 10 times on it, so it's essentially a sniper rifle, 2-shot kill at any range. It only has 5 bullets in the magazine. You can get extended magazines for it, but that does take the damage down a little bit, making it a 3-shot kill. So I would stick with the 5 shots and just fire 2 shots, bang, bang, at the same target. Get used to doing that, and you'll be just wigging guys left, right, and center. As for the sniper rifles, the SWS-10 is very decent as a starting sniper rifle, especially when you get some better scopes on it. Although some of the scopes on this first sniper rifle are a little bit bugged. When you use a 10 times, sometimes you'll aim in and it won't be magnified at all, and you'll have to unattach and reattach the scope to get the magnification. But this can happen multiple times in one game, making it kind of annoying to use, although it will get patched eventually. But that is kind of an annoying thing, especially considering it's the only sniper rifle you have at the beginning of the game. Then you unlock the DXR1, and now this is the best sniper rifle that I have used. I've not unlocked the NTW50 yet. That's apparently better for vehicles and stuff, but this is very, very good. It's a 1-shot headshot, as is the SWS, but this is just slightly more powerful. As you can see, 85 damage, 95 damage, and it's good for up to 800 meters, and it is very good. It's a very good sniper rifle. Like I said, the SWS is good at first, but when you unlock the DXR1, there'll be no going back. You'll be stuck with it, and it's very, very good indeed. As for the utility weapons, I haven't used any of these. The MCS is pretty good up close. Obviously, it's a shotgun, does good damage, and it's a 2-shot kill, so it's pretty decent. The GVT-4570 is literally a lever action rifle, which is pretty good apparently. I've died to it a few times. I can't vouch for how good it actually is, but it looks pretty decent. And then you have the 12mm or 12M auto shotgun, which obviously has 8 bullets in a magazine, whereas this has 8, but the rate of fire is significantly increased. It also has a burst fire option as well. I bet this is very good. But obviously, I don't really use shotguns because it's quite a long-range game and stuff, so it does kind of depend on your personal preference. But yes, guys, that is the weapons, the specialists. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Now, something I will say is the game is not as bad or in as bad shape as people are making out. Yes, there are issues with it, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. We are currently level 35. Oh, I will mention actually quickly. So there are different medals which you unlock for mastering different weapons. So as you can see, with 451 kills with the SVK, 43 kills with the DM7, 114 kills with the SWS, 223 kills with McKay. These medals are very good and they're displayed on your player card down below. And yeah, it gives you something to grind towards. You unlock a operator skin, which I'll just quickly show you. Each operator has a different criteria to surpass. When you surpass that, you'll unlock this first skin and then a second skin. So for McKay, it's get kills from a height advantage. So for McKay, that's absolutely perfect. Now, I will say that there are some Irish. This is the pre-order skin, but like this, for example, projectiles destroyed with his trophy system. That is harder than you think. Especially when it's saying 3,200 for the better skin, but some of those are difficult. Boris's, again, it's like damage inflicted with the sentry turret, so pretty difficult. Casper's is spots and enemies disrupted with the recon drone. That's a really nice skin, but again, pretty hard to obtain. And Sundance's is kills with the grenades, I believe. Yep, kills and assists with her smart explosives. So some of them are difficult to obtain, but again, they keep you grinding, they keep you wanting to unlock stuff. And when they add more and more stuff and they make the game more stable and having less issues, then I think this is going to be a top tier game for sure. Don't forget, as always, if you've enjoyed the video, leave a big thumbs up, leave some comments down below. Tell me what you guys think about Battlefield 2042 and what you guys thought of the video. And consider subscribing, as always, so you don't miss out on this awesome content. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Enjoy the video. Bye, guys.